What if I told you that the Cleveland Browns' biggest problem isn't on the field, it's behind closed doors? The 27-20 loss to the New York Jets was bad enough, but the real story isn't about missed throws or poor defense. It's about the chaos brewing inside the Browns' locker room. A growing power struggle that's tearing the team apart from the inside out. Head coach Kevin Stefanski and offensive coordinator Tommy Reese are locked in a silent war, each pointing fingers after another crushing defeat. Stefanski blames Reese's play calling, but Reese isn't taking that quietly. He's firing back, claiming Stefanski never gave him the control he needed, especially when it came to quarterback decisions. And that's where things get messy. Reese wanted to start Shedeur Sanders, a player who's been turning heads in practice with his precision and poise. But Stefanski reportedly shut that idea down, insisting on sticking with Dillon Gabriel, whose inconsistent play only made things worse. Now, the loss has exposed more than just poor execution. It's revealed a fractured leadership and a locker room divided. Star players like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy are openly frustrated, hinting that they've lost faith in the coaching direction. This isn't just a losing streak, it's a full-blown internal crisis. And as tensions rise, one question looms over Cleveland. Is Kevin Stefanski losing control of his own team? After the Browns' brutal 27-20 collapse against the Jets, everything that had been bubbling beneath the surface finally exploded. Kevin Stefanski walked into the post-game press conference calm on the outside, but his words carried a quiet sting. He pointed to execution issues and missed opportunities, but everyone listening knew exactly what he meant. He was throwing subtle jabs at offensive coordinator Tommy Reese. Stefanski implied that the play calling wasn't up to par, that the offense lacked rhythm and creativity. But behind the scenes, insiders claim Reese never had full control of the offense in the first place. He had a game plan built around Shedeur Sanders, the young quarterback who's been impressing everyone in practice. Quick reads, tight throws, and a composure rare for someone that new. But just hours before kickoff, Stefanski reportedly shut it down, insisting that Dillon Gabriel would start instead. That decision instantly shifted the energy. Players knew it, coaches felt it, and when the offense sputtered, the tension hit a breaking point. Reese was left taking the public heat for choices he didn't fully make. And when he fired back later that week, it wasn't out of ego, it was out of frustration. He'd followed Stefanski's orders, only to be made the scapegoat when things went wrong. Meanwhile, locker room morale began to crack. Myles Garrett was visibly furious, not just about losing, but about the constant chaos at the top. Jerry Jeudy didn't hold back either, openly said it, questioning why Shedeur still hadn't been given his chance. To them, it wasn't about favoritism, it was about winning. Now, the Browns aren't just dealing with a losing record, they're dealing with something far worse, a loss of trust. Stefanski's control over the team is slipping, and Reese's defiance has only made that divide deeper. What started as a bad loss to the Jets might have just turned into the breaking point that exposes the Browns' biggest weakness. Not their players, but their leadership. Behind closed doors, things inside the Browns facility have grown tense, and it's no longer just about football. Sources close to the team describe a growing power struggle between Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Reese, one that's been quietly escalating for weeks. What started as small disagreements over play design has turned into a full-blown clash over control. Reese was brought in to modernize the Browns' offense, to inject creativity and make the system more dynamic. But every time he tried to push for new concepts or give Shedeur Sanders meaningful reps, Stefanski reportedly shut it down. He wanted things done his way, and that meant sticking with the playbook and personnel choices he trusted, even if it meant limiting Reese's influence. The tension became obvious during team meetings. Players began noticing that Reese looked increasingly frustrated, often walking out of discussions early or refusing to comment when asked about offensive decisions. For a coach who's usually composed and measured, that silence spoke volumes. It wasn't just disagreement, It was control being taken from him. And while Stefanski continued to publicly emphasize team unity, his actions told another story. During the bye week, he restructured certain offensive responsibilities, essentially boxing Reese into a smaller role. He gave him the title of play caller, but with so many restrictions that it was more symbolic than real. Inside the locker room, this divide didn't go unnoticed. Players like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy started questioning the leadership dynamic. How could they trust the game plan if the coaches couldn't even agree on who was truly in charge? Reese, to his credit, tried to keep his frustrations private. But when the Jets' loss made him the scapegoat, the gloves came off. He's no longer just the offensive coordinator trying to fix an offense. He's a coach fighting for credibility and respect in a building that feels divided. And the scary part? This battle isn't just hurting relationships. It's starting to show up on the field. At the heart of Cleveland's chaos sits one name that just won't go away: Shedeur Sanders. Ever since arriving in Cleveland, Shedeur has been the most talked about player who hasn't even taken a real NFL snap yet. The hype, the swagger, the poise, everything about him screams future star. But somehow, he's become the lightning rod in a battle that's not about him. Inside the Browns locker room, players know what they've seen in practice. Shedeur's accuracy, his composure, and the way he reads defenses, it's impressed everyone, from the receivers to the veterans on defense. Multiple reports say Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper have both quietly voiced support for giving him a chance. They believe his quick decision-making could energize an offense that's felt flat for weeks. But here's the twist: Kevin Stefanski hasn't budged. Sources close to the team say Stefanski's reluctance isn't about talent. It's about control. Are beginning to question what the Browns are waiting for. The pressure is growing, and every week Shedeur sits, the noise only gets louder. For Shedeur himself, this isn't just about playing, it's about proving he belongs. He's been patient, professional, and focused, but those close to him say he's starting to feel the frustration too. He was promised an opportunity, and so far, that opportunity's been buried under politics. Right now, Shedeur isn't just Cleveland's potential savior. He's become the symbol of everything wrong with the Browns' internal dysfunction. The fans see it. The locker room feels it. And unless this coaching staff figures out how to handle it soon, the situation could explode in a way that no one in Cleveland is ready for. When things go wrong in Cleveland, it never stays quiet for long. And this time, the blame game has completely spiraled out of control. Inside team meetings, tensions are boiling over. Coaches are frustrated, players are losing faith, and everyone's pointing fingers at someone else. After that embarrassing loss to the Jets, sources say the Browns' locker room turned ice cold. Veterans were visibly angry, not just at the mistakes on the field, but at what they see as a complete lack of accountability from the coaching staff. One anonymous player even told a local reporter, "We're tired of pretending this is fine." It's not fine. Kevin Stefanski, meanwhile, has reportedly shifted much of the blame toward execution, claiming players simply aren't performing up to expectations. But that hasn't sat well with some of the team's leaders, who believe the offensive scheme is outdated and predictable. Behind closed doors, a quiet rebellion is forming. Offensive assistants whisper about changes they'd make if they had the freedom. Defenders roll their eyes every time the offense stalls out for the third straight drive. And then there's Tommy Reese, the offensive coordinator, caught in the middle. Some say he's been undermined. Others say he's not ready for this level. But either way, the tension between Reese and Stefanski has become impossible to ignore. Their relationship, once described as collaborative, is now being called strained at best. Fans, of course, have made up their minds. They're blaming everyone. Twitter threads are filled with demands for firings, trades, and a total reset. Talk shows have turned Cleveland into their favorite punching bag, calling the Browns the NFL's most chaotic team. But the most dangerous part of all this, the playoffs are starting to believe it. Morale is sinking, unity is fading, and the trust between the locker room and the coaching staff feels broken beyond repair. And while the front office tries to project calm, it's clear that behind the scenes, panic is setting in. Everyone's trying to protect their reputation, their job, their legacy. But if this continues, someone's about to take the fall. And the question isn't if, it's who. From the outside, it's easy to paint Tommy Reese as the problem, the offensive coordinator who can't figure out how to make this offense click. But inside the walls of the Browns facility, the story sounds very different. Those close to Reese described him as intense, detail-obsessed, and fiercely loyal to his players. He's not afraid to challenge the norm, and that's exactly what's put him at odds with Kevin Stefanski. While Stefanski believes in structure and control, Reese is a risk-taker. He believes great offenses come from trust, creativity, and letting players breathe. According to team insiders, Reese has quietly been pushing for a system that better fits Shedeur Sanders' skill set. He studied the kid's film, reimagined plays, and built mock game plans, designed around tempo and rhythm. But Stefanski has reportedly blocked most of those changes, insisting on sticking to what works, even though the results have been anything but impressive. When criticism exploded online, Reese didn't fire back publicly. But sources say he's frustrated. Behind closed doors, he's told colleagues he feels handcuffed by the system, that no matter what ideas he brings to the table, they get shot down before they're even tested. He's not angry at the players. He's angry that he can't help them the way he knows he can. And here's where it gets interesting. Several players, including offensive leaders, have started to take Reese's side. They see how hard he works and how often he tries to defend them in meetings. To them, Reese isn't the problem. He's the guy stuck between two worlds, one led by a coach clinging to control and another desperate for change. Publicly, he's kept his composure, saying all the right things during press conferences. But privately, people close to him say he's already thinking about his future. If things don't change soon, he might not wait to be pushed out. He might walk away first. And if that happens, it wouldn't just expose the Browns' dysfunction, it would confirm what fans have suspected all along. The biggest problem in Cleveland isn't talent, it's leadership. Inside the Browns' locker room, the tension isn't just noticeable, it's thick enough to cut through. Players who once stood firmly behind Kevin Stefanski are starting to lose faith. It began quietly, with whispers after team meetings. But now, that quiet frustration has turned into open disagreement. According to insiders, several veterans have started questioning Stefanski's decisions, especially his stubborn. Sanders could spark the offense, but Stefanski's refusal to make that switch has created a visible divide. One player reportedly told a teammate, "It's like we're playing to protect egos, not to win games." Another source claimed that during a recent practice, players were rolling their eyes as Stefanski ran through the same failed schemes they'd used in previous losses. It's no longer just about the game plan. It's about trust. Tommy Reese, caught in the middle, has tried to keep the peace. But even he's noticed the shift. The once energetic practices now feel forced. Body language on the sidelines tells the story. Slumped shoulders, frustrated hand gestures, and players avoiding eye contact with the coaching staff. The breaking point came after the humiliating loss to the Jets. Several players reportedly skipped optional film review sessions, something unheard of earlier in the season. Some even voiced their frustrations to the front office, subtly hinting that a leadership change might be the only solution. And while Stefanski continues to insist that the team is united and focused, the atmosphere says otherwise. The unity is fractured. Veterans who once defended the coaching decisions are now sitting in silence. Younger players are looking for direction and finding none. Behind the scenes, one thing is becoming painfully clear. The locker room isn't just losing games, it's losing faith. And when a coach loses his locker room, no playbook in the world can save him. But the situation was about to spiral even further. Because what happened next turned this quiet rebellion into a full-blown storm across Cleveland. Just when it seemed like the Browns' drama couldn't get any worse, Jerry Jeudy decided to light a match. The wide receiver, who's never been one to hold back his emotions, took to social media and poured gasoline on an already burning situation. After the Jets' loss, Jeudy posted a cryptic message on his Instagram story. A simple line that read, "You can't cook if the chef won't let you in the kitchen." Within minutes, Browns fans knew exactly who he was talking about. The post exploded across X, formerly Twitter, with thousands of fans tagging Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Reese demanding answers. Insiders say Jeudy's frustration had been boiling for weeks. He's reportedly been one of the loudest voices pushing for Shedeur Sanders to get a shot at starting. To Jeudy, the offense has become predictable, easy for defenses to read, and even easier to shut down. He believes Shedeur's style could open up the field, giving receivers like him a real chance to make plays. But instead of addressing it privately, Jeudy's post made the tension public. Media outlets ran wild with speculation, calling it the post that broke the Browns. And while Jeudy deleted it a few hours later, the damage was done. The locker room was buzzing, reporters were circling, and the coaching staff was scrambling to regain control. Behind closed doors, sources say Stefanski wasn't amused. He reportedly called Jeudy in for a private conversation, but it didn't go well. Jeudy, known for his confidence, stood by his words. He told the coach what many players were thinking but too afraid to say out loud. The team is tired of excuses, tired of the same playbook, and tired of losing. And just like that, what began as a cryptic Instagram post turned into the spark that exposed the Browns' internal chaos to the world. But Jeudy's bold move did more than make headlines. It forced everyone, including the front office, to finally confront the truth they'd been avoiding. Because if even your star players are turning against you, something bitter is about to break. The pressure inside the Cleveland Browns organization has reached a boiling point. Kevin Stefanski, once praised as the calm, calculated leader who restored order to a chaotic franchise, is now standing directly in the line of fire. After weeks of finger-pointing, locker room rifts, and mounting losses, Stefanski's credibility is beginning to crumble. It started quietly. Whispers from the locker room, murmurs from assistants who felt stifled, and players who believed their voices were being ignored. But following the latest loss, those whispers became shouts. Players like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy have stopped hiding their frustration. And the message is clear. The team no longer trusts the direction Stefanski is taking them. Reports say Stefanski's relationships with several key figures on his staff, including offensive coordinator Tommy Reese, have completely deteriorated. What began as simple disagreements over play calling has turned into a Cold War. Reese wanted to unleash Shedeur Sanders, while Stefanski insisted on sticking with Dillon Gabriel, a decision that's drawn heavy criticism from fans and analysts alike. Now, every loss feels like another nail in his coaching coffin. Inside the building, it's chaos. Sources describe tense meetings, awkward silences, and growing paranoia about leaks to the media. Stefanski has reportedly confronted multiple assistants about speaking to reporters, accusing them of undermining his authority. Meanwhile, the Haslams, Cleveland's ownership group, are said to be watching closely, and if things don't change soon, they won't hesitate to step in. The Browns' offense has stalled, the defense is exhausted, and the locker room unity that once defined this team has evaporated. Players are walking into practice unsure who's really in charge, the head coach or the coordinator who's had enough of being a scapegoat. Kevin Stefanski's future with the Browns now hangs by a thread. If he can't regain control of the locker room and repair the damage done between himself, Tommy Reese and the players. This season could mark the end of his tenure in Cleveland. The only question left is whether he'll fix it before the front office decides to fix it for him. As the smoke settles over Cleveland, one thing is certain: the Browns are standing on the edge of total collapse. What began as internal disagreements has now erupted into an organizational crisis. Kevin Stefanski's leadership, once viewed as the team's backbone, now feels like its greatest weakness. The locker room is divided, the coaching staff fractured, and the fan base has lost all patience. Tommy Reese, once content playing his role, has found himself cast as the scapegoat for the Browns' offensive failures. His public frustration, combined with the vocal support of players like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy, has only deepened the cracks within the organization. What's even more damning, it's clear that many inside that locker room believe Shedeur Sanders gives them their best shot at winning, yet politics and pride have kept him on the sidelines. Every press conference, every quote, every sideline argument is now under a microscope. Stefanski's once calm demeanor has turned defensive. His decisions are being second-guessed by everyone, from his assistants to the players he's supposed to lead. What was once seen as strategic control now looks like fear of losing power. Meanwhile, ownership is running out of patience. Dee and Jimmy Haslam have poured millions into building a contender, but the Browns are once again drowning in dysfunction. Behind closed doors, sources say the Haslams are considering drastic measures. And if things don't turn around fast, Stefanski might not survive the season. The players know it. The fans feel it, and the tension is thicker than ever inside the building. Whether it's Tommy Reese pushing for Shedeur Sanders or Myles Garrett demanding accountability, the message is clear. Change is coming, one way or another. The Cleveland Browns are at a crossroads. Either they find unity before it's too late, or this season will go down as one of the most self-destructive chapters in franchise history. What do you think? Is Stefanski's time in Cleveland over? Or can the Browns somehow pull this together before everything falls apart?